All right, tackling the Ox fruits. We have 3 members of this category, and you know it's really sad? I just realized out of those 3 Ox fruits, 2 of them are awakened, confirmed. Kaku has the Ushi no Mi model Giraffe. We see that awakened during Egghead. And Minotaurus, we don't actually know the name of his devil fruit, but he's a Taurus. He was born in April, like me, so we share the same astrological sign, obviously. But Minotaurus, he's a cow. He's a bull. All right, so clearly that is his devil fruit. And he's also awakened, because all of the jailer beasts in Impel Down are awakened. So that only leaves poor Dalton with the Ushi no Mi model Bison, who coincidentally was the very first Zoan devil fruit ever revealed in this entire story. Before I think even the devil fruit like classification system had even been revealed to the readers yet. I think that happened later in Drum Island. But yeah, he turned into a Bison and he fought against Wapol, and he actually seemed pretty good at using the ability, but he wasn't awakened back then. So we can only hope that in the 2-year time skip, Dalton has awakened to the true power of the Bison and probably hasn't lost control of himself. That's also something handy. So yeah, nothing that really complicated. We only got 3 members of this today, although Kaku decided to go insane with all the different moves. You know, most devil fruit users that have Zoans don't like name a lot of techniques. They have a few maybe, but because Kaku uses the Rokushiki, the 6 power moves, oh my god, he's got like 20 moves, and we're not going to go over all of them because a lot of them are just like, I use Tempest Kick, but as a giraffe. You know, so there's a few that are pretty cool that actually hinge on him being a giraffe, but beyond that, nothing really that crazy. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of the etymology, shall we? So Ushi means cow in Japanese, but it can also be expanded to mean oxen and other animals as well. Like when you say cow in English, I at least immediately think of like a dairy cow, you know, like that's the immediate thing I think of. I don't think of a bison. I don't think of a water buffalo. I certainly don't think of a giraffe. I think of a dairy cow, right? So in Japanese, Ushi is kind of like an umbrella term that covers all of these animals, right? And that's also why we have giraffes included in this category, because they are all part of the same order of Artiodactylia. There are bison in there along with giraffes and dairy cows as well. Now, going along with Artiodactylia as the order, though, I don't think all of these animals would be included in the Ox fruits. Like, for example, there's an elk in there. I don't think Oda would include it like Ox fruit model elk. We also see a boar. I don't think it would go Ox fruit model boar. It would probably be deer fruit and then pig fruit. Something like that. I think it really just comes down to Oda, like, all right, what category? That's clearly a deer, so it's going to be the deer category. Giraffe, I don't know where to put giraffe. Well, they're related to cows and ox. Okay, they'll put in the ox category. That seems to be the way that Oda's going about it anyway. So yes, we'll start with Dalton. He has the Ushi no Mi model Bison. Now, as a colloquial term in America, in American, we would call this animal a buffalo, all right? They wander the Great Plains and were very nearly all annihilated way back in the day, especially when it was like trying to like ruin the native tribes that were out there. One method that they used back then was like, oh, we'll just kill all the buffalo and wipe out their food source, and so then they won't be able to survive anymore, and then we could just kind of take over their land easier, right? That was a strategy that was employed, and you can actually look up just like the settlers from back then standing on like just massive piles of buffalo skulls. But the animal isn't really a true buffalo. It's the American bison. There's a plains bison along with the wood bison. There's also a European bison as well. But when we're talking about buffaloes, like true buffaloes, more of like water buffaloes that would be found in like Africa. Okay, so yeah, it's more of a term that's used here in just America, but you know, just thought I would bring it up. So Dalton uses this form to great effect. He first transforms into his full bison as he's running to the shore after he hears that Wapol has arrived back in Drum Island. He's like, I'm going to stop that son of a bitch. So he goes full bison and uses all 4 legs, and he hoofs it all the way down to the shore. He rolls up on Wapol's crew, goes into his hybrid form, takes out his metal spade, which is also his weapon, and he uses Fiddle Banff, which is his only named attack, where he literally uses it and and decapitates Wapol with his full Bison strength. Now, unfortunately for Dalton, Wapol is Wapol, and even more unfortunately, this is One Piece. So being decapitated is sort of like a mild inconvenience as long as you have some really good doctors on standby to take some tin and just kind of like nail you back together. Damn it. Damn it. You know, a lot of times in this story, I love the fact that One Piece is silly and wacky, like whenever Luffy and Brook lose teeth or Brook gets his skull fractured, all they got to do is drink some milk and then they get perfectly healed. And it's like, oh, that's funny, that's cute, that's a nice little way for them to heal, you know, Luffy to get his tooth back. But then other times it's like, yeah, Wapol was decapitated. Yeah, no, he's fine though. He had some really good doctors. Very cold resistant animal, has a very cold resistant hide, which makes it very useful on Drum Island, which is a winter island. He can rush you down, he can trample you. You don't want to piss off a bison. And get used to me saying that. That's probably going to be the catchphrase for the rest of these Zoan fruits. You don't want to piss off a giraffe. You don't want to piss off a rhino. You don't want to piss off an albatross. You know, get used to me saying that, because there's a lot of animals you don't want to make mad. They will kill you. But especially with buffalo, because they are very powerful animals. Sometimes you just see video of them fighting. Like, you know, there'll be like a road in the middle of the Midwest of the United States, and traffic has to grind to a halt because two bison are just going at it in the middle of the road, just slamming into each other. Fur is flying all over the place. Yeah, you don't want to get stuck between that. Dalton has horns, and he can run really fast and just, you know, slam into you, gore you, while also headbutting you and sending you like, 30 feet flying off in the opposite direction, okay? Now, I've said this before when we were talking about the one-off zones, but I'll bring it up again. I'm not really going to go into Awakenings too much on the Zoan fruits because, well, for two main reasons. Number one, the overall design, unless they're mythical zones that are being awakened, isn't going to change very much. So you see how, like, the jailer beasts look at Impel Down when they are in their Awakenings and they kind of go feral, like they lose themselves to their animal nature? That would be the exact same animal form that Dalton would go into if he lost control, except instead of Minotauros or Mino Zebra, they just think Minnow Bison or whatever, right? Like, he would look like a bison up here. You would see his abs. You would still get to see Dalton's abs, but then the rest of him would just be a bison that would stand on two legs and just be lost in, rage and instinct, okay? So, like, overall, the designs are really not going to change that much from Awakening to the original forms. And if he does manage to maintain control while awakening, if Dalton can achieve that, I think he could. I think Dalton has what it takes to achieve a controlled awakening if he works at it. Once again, it wouldn't change. It would really just be the ribbon. Like when Lucci goes into his awakened leopard, yeah, he looks a little bit more ferocious. His design is a little bit more streamlined, but it's really not that different from his hybrid form before, like the time skip when he fought Luffy the first time. It was pretty much the same thing. He's just awakened now, and he has the ribbon around him. Same thing with Kaku's giraffe. The giraffe basically looks the same as when he fought Zoro pre-time skip. He just has the ribbon around him. Maybe his fur is a little bit more stylized to look like fire, but that's kind of it, right? So I'm not going to go into the awakenings for those reasons. And then the other reason is just the whole point of having a Zoan isn't to get some crazy esoteric power, unless you're a mythical zone, right? The whole point of a Zoan is it doesn't give you a crazy power, but it gives you an incredible boost in speed and strength and stamina, and sometimes can give you aspects of things that, humans don't have. Like, for example, the ability to shoot poison, or inject venom with fangs, or giant claws to shred people, or wings to fly, or you could burrow underground like a mole, or something of that nature, right? There's even some that I believe would give you the ability to breathe underwater, but because devil fruit weaknesses are, water, it's not as useful there. But, like, yeah, that's what the whole point of a Zoan is. It's not exactly to make you be able to turn into an element or turn into a jacket or a submachine gun or something. So, yeah, Dalton is really strong and really fast and really tough as a bison. If he awakened, he would just get tougher and stronger as a bison. And that's basically it. So now moving on to Ushi Ushi no Mi model giraffe, Fun fact, did you know we actually get to see the previous user of this devil fruit before Kaku got the fruit? Because we see him get it during the story. After they get back to Eni's lobby, after their mission at Water 7, Spondum presents the Awa Awa no Mi to Khalifa, and Kaku gets the Ushi Ushi no Mi model giraffe, and it takes the appearance of a banana. And we see him actually eating it right here. In the Ace Light novel, we see the previous user. Well, at least, I don't know if it's in the Ace Light novel, but we do see it in the manga that was drawn by Boichi. We see the previous user of the Giraffe Zoan, and it was used by a pirate that I think was just killed by Blackbeard, and then it got returned into circulation, which is when Spondum gets hold of it and then gives it to Kaku. Coincidentally, Oda also revealed in an SBS what would have happened if Khalifa was the one to eat the Giraffe Zoan. There's Giraffe Khalifa. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we were robbed, if we could have gotten this instead, but, you know, there we go. Now I want to see Kaku with the soap Zoan. He makes a soap giraffe. Just like Khalifa makes the soap sheep, Kaku makes the soap giraffe. Same deal. All right. So because he loves giraffes, he's awakened to the true power of the giraffe, but he also knows the Rokushiki. So, oh my god, we got so many damn Rankyaku abilities. Kaku's specialty in the 6 powers was Tempest Kick. It's the one where you kick really hard and you make Getsuga Tenshos come out of you, basically. So he's got Rankyaku, Amanai Dachi, Rankyaku Sen, Bigan, which is nose gun, which is because he turned into a giraffe, but it's still in his hybrid form, still has the squareness of his nose. He just kind of like shoots you really fast with Shigan, but it comes out like way stronger, like a 50 cal, like hitting you. A 50 caliber giraffe gun. That's devastating. Kama Kirin. Kirin just meaning, well, it can mean giraffe. It's also the mythical Zoan that Killingham has that we'll get to eventually. Actually, so far, I think Killingham is the last devil fruit we're going to discuss, period, in this entire story, unless Oda reveals another one in between, which he probably will. But anyway, Kama Kirin just means sickle giraffe, all right? So he just kind of like swipes his enemy airborne with his neck like a sickle. My favorite is Tekai Mushikaku. This is the one where Kaku turns into Cube. He goes giraffe, and then he, like, bends his neck in the way of, like, you know, I don't know, you're bending, like, origami or something. Not really origami. You're bending your body, like, whatever, and you're making yourself into just perfect square. And he's like, no weaknesses. I have become Giraffe Cube. And then he just, you know, moves his little feet, and then it just shoots Rankyaku's up in the air, hits the ceiling, and then bounces back down as Giraffe Rain. So that is probably the only move that you could really only accomplish in the form of a giraffe. And that just goes to show Oda has more fun than anything when it comes to the Zoans, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to make the dinosaur Zoans. This is how dinosaurs worked in my world. Oh yeah, Kaku could transform in giraffe. What if he, like, bent his neck down a bunch of times, like he kept folding himself at like 90-degree angles until eventually he made a cube? That should be fun. And it was. It was. Pasta machine is a technique. I don't even remember half of these. He had a technique called pasta machine. Here we go. An awakened technique. He's got one of them. Kiriman Gyro. Giraffe Man Snake Rotation. He extends his neck to great length using Bigan and then rotates it rapidly like a drill pattern. Oh, okay. It's like a drill that's like attacking you. Okay. Yeah, that sounds fun. That's an awakened technique, right? Yeah, I didn't memorize all of these because, like, I wasn't going to be able to remember. My favorite, though, next to the cube, is the Sky Slicer, the one where he uses the centrifugal force of his long-ass neck to, like, spin around really, really, really fast, and then he slices the entire Tower of Law in half. And you bet Law was really pissed about that. That was his tower that his family built with their own 2 hands, and Kaku sliced it in half. Not cool. All right. But anyway, yeah, that's Kaku. And then at some point over the course of the time skip, he learned hockey, and he awakened his devil fruit. Because, well, if he didn't, it would be kind of irrelevant to the story. What we don't really know about Kaku right now. I want Kaku to be the voice of reason amongst the Cypher Pole and go to Lucci and just be like, Lucci, what are we doing? Like, are we still, like, I understand we're all orphans here and we were raised to be super soldiers for the world government. But what are we doing here, man? This is some crazy shit that just went down at Egghead. I think we should just get the hell out while we can and deal with the consequences. If we all do it together as a family, I think we can make it work. I have no idea, but considering we've now had Cypherpole be the main, well, not the main antagonist at Egghead, well, for the first half they kind of were. We've had them be the antagonist fighting against the Straw Hats twice now. Luffy fought against Lucci pre-time skip, Zoro fought against Lucci post-time skip. I think it would be about time now for, like, the next time the Cypherpoles show up, they're no longer the enemies of the Straw Hats. They have actually, that would be crazy as shit for Lucci, and we'll get to him when we talk about the cat Zoans, but for Lucci and Kaku and everybody to just be like, okay, you know what? We're messed up, and we were like assassins and mercenaries and everything, and we've killed a lot of innocent people. But the shit the government is doing with the Gorosei and Emu and everything and the Domi Reversi, that's even more evil for us. We're quitting. And then that would be wild, right? That would be really cool. So I hope to see Kaku again, absolutely. But yeah, we've already seen his awakening. And then finally, we have Minotaurus, who doesn't have a named zone, but I'm going to say it's the Ushi Ushi no Mi model bull, because he's clearly a male cow, all right? Named after the Minotaur, you know, the Minotaur in the labyrinth, and Impel Down can kind of be seen as like a labyrinth of sorts. And so Oda kind of adapted that to Minotauros, and then the other jailer beasts, the other demon guards all have the exact same like Mino sort of prefix. So like Mino Zebra, Mino Rhinoceros. I'll also sometimes pronounce it Minnow, like Minnow. I don't think that's the correct way to do it. I think it is Mino, like Mino Chihuahua or whatever, Mino Koala we discussed before in the one-off video. So yeah, though, he's a cow. He's a cow man. And he's pretty buff, and he swings a spiked Kanabo around. And like all the other awakened jailer beasts, he's constantly got a runny nose. I guess that's just a thing when you lose your sense of self. You become an awakened Zoan user, and you just start having a really bad runny nose that no matter how many times you like... every time you do that, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is for Minotauros. And I know there's not much to say there. He's a feral, awakened cow. He hits people with a kanabo, and he's got a drippy nose. Like, what else am I going to say there? He doesn't breathe fire or anything. He's really strong. He's got hooves. I don't think you can milk him because he's a bull. He's a male cow. If he was a female cow, I guess. Like, I don't know, man. Like, okay, I don't know how this logic works here in One Piece. However, there is something at the end here I am going to include. In lieu of talking about the awakenings, I will discuss other animals that Oda could include in the particular family of Zoans. And so in this case, we have the Ushi Ushi fruits. So let's throw some new ones out there. Let's go Ox fruit model water buffalo. That's the easiest one I immediately thought of. There's water buffaloes that are indigenous to Africa, and they are the true buffaloes. And there's a bunch of different variants of them, and their horns are much differently shaped than the buffalo and the cows and things. And so that would be a really interesting one. We also have my personal favorite that I would like to see in the story, Ox fruit model yak. I like just the very hairy kind of cows that live in like the high mountainous cold regions. The extreme cold durability of the yak. If you see someone coming towards you with the yak fruit, you get the hell out of there. Yakety yak. Don't talk back. All right, then we have the Gaur, G-A-U-R, is the largest wild cattle species on the planet. So this is just big, giant, giga cow, I guess. That would be really cool. We have the Zebu, and it's got like a humpback, sort of like a camel for fat stores. So we could have a Zebu devil fruit. That would be sweet. We could also maybe extend this to wildebeests or antelopes. Maybe. And then we get to goats, which are also related, but it's kind of the same deal where if Oda ever revealed a goat zone, I feel like it would be its own family, like the goat fruit model ibex or the goat fruit model sheep or something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like it would go like that. Did I say ibex or ibex? I'm pretty sure it's ibex because in Japanese, I's are pronounced with the E sound, and in English, E's are pronounced with the E sound, so sometimes I'll get those confused. Anyway, that was the video. I hope you all enjoyed talking about the Ox Zoans. What's up next? The cats? No, the birds. We got the birds up next. So, okay, so for the birds, Marco's going to be his own video. I might mention him in the next one, but he'll have his own video as a phoenix. So we got Pell, the indestructible falcon Zoan. We also have the Tori Tori no Mi model Albatross, which is Morgan's Zoan. And I don't believe there's any others. I think there is one in One Piece movie 11 that's a eagle, but we don't talk about non-canon shit around here. I've already talked about all the non-canon fruits anyway in a singular video. I've already covered my bases with that. All right, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Techie 101 signing out. Which species of animal do you think would belong? What's going to be the next fruit in the ox category if we get one? We'll do that. We'll end out these videos with that question. All right, later, everybody. Signing out.